Hi, welcome everybody. This is InterGeo TV, the official broadcast channel and podcast where we address current and future-oriented topics and reflect InterGeo's motto, inspiration for a smarter world in all its facets. And join InterGeo TV and meet the geospatial community and, of course, their very interesting and future-oriented topics. And today it is with Wim van Wegen. He's head of content at GIM International, the global magazine for geomatics. Wim van Wegen is head of content at GIM International, and in his role he's responsible for overseeing both the print and the online publications. He's contributing columns, featuring articles and conducting interviews with experts in the geospatial industry. Let's say hello to the Netherlands, and here is Wim van Wegen. Hi, welcome to InterGeo TV.
Thanks, Denise, for the kind introduction. Busy times with InterGeo coming up, I suppose, and happy to participate in this Q&A.
Wow. So let's get to know you a little bit better. So could you share a bit about your professional background with us? And how did you get into geoinformation?
Well, that's a very good question, because to answer the last question, how I did get involved in the geospatial industry was kind of a lucky shot, I would say. I'm not a graduated geospatial engineer or something. I studied European studies. That's my background when it comes to my study. And then I started looking for an interesting job, preferably not too far away from the place where I live. And then I ended up here. It's about 15 years ago. Yes, guess what? I'm still here. And in the meantime, I learned a lot about the geospatial industry, and which needs some time because it's quite a technical industry, as you know. So, but I guess I'm pretty much there right now after so many years. And the fact that I've been working here for 15 years in the same industry, feels a bit like a compliment for the industry as a whole, because it's a very inspiring industry. And as a kid, I already was a big fan of maps, and the industry has a lot to do with maps, cartography, GIS, mapping. So I think I ended up at the right place.
Absolutely. So you are fascinated in the world of geodesy, geoinformation and land management, and you're talking to a lot of people. You dive into the topics, you do the research, and you write all the articles and so on. So what current trends or developments do you see in the industries when we talk about the last 5 years, or what do you see in the next 5 years when we can talk about such a long time?
Yeah, well, if we look at the bigger picture, I would say that the geospatial industry has become a much wider horizon, as it's not involved to land surveyors or really technical people, but I guess it's what you call the democratization of the industry, of the geospatial sector. So geoinformation is everywhere nowadays. And it also has become very visible to everyone. That's a trend which you see if you look at the broader picture. And then if we zoom in a bit on the industry itself, and it's getting a bit more technical. And then I would say when I started my career in the industry, there were no drones. And after a couple of years, you've also experienced that at InterGeo, and there were coming up quite a lot of drone manufacturers, and also companies from the geospatial industry were coming up with their own drones. There was some kind of hype talking about drones. and drones are still there, but now it is way more diverse with a lot of new sensors involved. So I guess it's called drones 2.0 in the geospatial industry. So that's a big trend, and that's a trend that I've seen evolving over the past 10, 15 years. And another trend is, I would call that the miniaturization of sensors. So if we connect the latter with the drones, I would say that now you have LiDAR sensors which are easily mountable. You can easily mount them on drones. So you can carry out drone surveys with LiDAR sensors. And that's also, in a nutshell, a very big development that I witnessed over the past years.
InterGeo will look at this topic at the unmanned systems stage. So before we had the inter-area solutions, right now it's called the unmanned systems area, where we see all the systems related to drones and of course, also LiDAR-equipped drones and all the technique and new solutions around this, very interesting topic. So you see there a future, a drones 2.0 future for drones in the surveying sector.
Yes, that's how I would call it. And it's also very interesting for the sector because the industry contains of some very big survey companies, but there are also many thousands around the world, I guess, smaller survey companies. And most of the times the equipment is very expensive, but drones and the equipment for drones is less expensive. So it comes within reach for a larger group of users. So also the smaller companies, or maybe the companies that not necessarily are involved in the geospatial sector, for instance, construction companies, they also can afford those drones with the sensors they need. So it becomes within reach for a very large user group, and I think that opens up a multitude of new opportunities, I would say, and also for the geospatial industry, because the more drones and equipment they can sell, the better, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So we were looking at this fascinating topic at InterGeo, and there will be another highlighted topic, which is, of course, artificial intelligence, and for better understanding the huge amount of data and for getting more precise and more for working with the real-time data and so on. So how do you see the progress of artificial intelligence involved in all the geospatial data?
It's very obvious. AI is there. It's everywhere. So also in the geospatial industry. But we should be realistic as well, and see some AI as something positive. So it's not something to be scared of. It's going to help us a lot. And at the same time, we should not overhype AI, because, as I said, AI is everywhere in our lives. Well, for instance, if we refer to the apps we use on the telephone, many of them are already based on AI. But for the industry, for the geospatial industry, and for the land survey profession, it means a new tool that can be used. And I already mentioned drones as a new tool. Well, the drones have been quite established now in the geospatial sector. AI is pretty much a new kid on the block, but it's going to help us. And for instance, when it comes to geospatial software, geospatial data processing, well, AI can do much more work in incredibly much faster time. So imagine what new opportunities are on the horizon, and things we couldn't have imagined 10 years ago or 15 years ago will be possible now. And well, if we talk about mapping the world, and there's still so many parts of the world that needs good mapping. AI is there, and it's going to be a very positive factor, I would say, and it's changing the industry.
Yeah, it is. So I think it is also changing maybe the work, the editorial work for you in your daily life. So how does AI impact your daily work for example, editorial writing or doing research? So how does it affect you?
That's an interesting one, because it's sometimes we are experimenting a bit with it, and some people already think that we don't need any editors anymore or any journalists, because ChatGPT can write all the texts. I think that's a wrong estimation, because we still need people. We still need the talents of skilled writers. And if you want to give articles a personal touch and really some spirit, and want to make texts alive, then you really cannot rely on ChatGPT. Not now, not today, but I guess also not in 5 or 10 years, because there's a big difference between just constructing a text about a certain topic and making that text alive. So, but it has a lot of benefits, and that goes for the publishing sector, for the media sector, but also for land surveying, because you can do research, you can put a lot of information together, and you can share it with ChatGPT or with another tool. And the fun thing is they can make sense of all the data within literally a couple of seconds. So that's a very positive change. And I also see that positive change happening in the geospatial sector when it comes to geospatial data and how to handle those terabytes or petabytes of data.
So yeah, we can see AI came to really change the way we work, the way we handle everything in our everyday life. And I also use it for translation, for transcriptions, for just do summaries of very huge amounts of texts, and so is the the geospatial industry doing, because they also have huge amounts of data and so on, and AI helps to see patterns in it and helps to do some structure and get some new figures or formulas out of it. Yeah, and I think this is really the way AI is transforming the world, actually, because it's helps us with a huge amount to get it into a structured and detailed and very interesting new form to work with it and to get anything new out of it.
That's true. It's mainly about making sense of all the data. So there's the big data, enormous amounts of data, but our human brain is not fully capable of handling all those data. And I think there are some very exciting developments when it comes to the use of AI in the geospatial sector. It's called GeoAI, and you combine the big data with AI. As for instance, it's happening for cadastral purposes. In many countries of the world, they still need to map the country in a good way to use it for cadastral purposes, land management purposes. And this can be, you could speed up this by using AI, and AI can identify the property boundaries by using aerial and satellite images. So it is a huge amount of work which AI could do very easily, and that's a very interesting example. Maybe another example is happening in many parts of the world, but one we published in an article about is about the tree crown map in Poland. in Warsaw, but also in other cities in Poland. They're using AI for object detection. They detect trees from aerial imagery, and then they can see which trees, which types of trees are where, and also they can monitor if the trees are in good health or not in good health, if it's too dry, for example. And they can. It's also, if you have a greener city, it's good for the adaptation against climate change, for example, and that's where they're using it for. And it's a fascinating project, and these kind of projects cannot happen without AI. So AI is really improving our worlds, I would say.
Yeah, it's playing a crucial role in many areas. For example, also in the world of the digital or the urban twins.
Sure,
who are also revolutionizing the way we work in cities, how we live, how we detect something what has to be replaced or something like that, or how to get more energy in cities and so on. So
exactly.
What do you think about the huge topic of the urban twins or the digital twins?
Well, the digital twins, that's something that has been going on for almost a decade, I would say. And you still see lots of improvements. You see very inspiring examples from cities like Singapore, or in the Netherlands with Rotterdam as a very good example. But you see that those cities are inspiring each other. And with AI and the new 3D modeling methods, there are new possibilities coming up, and it's one of my favorite topics. And as a magazine, we publish quite a lot about the digital twin topic, but it's going way more exciting, especially now AI is also doing its entrance in this part of the geospatial world. Yeah.
So, and in general, InterGeo is so fascinating to me, as I'm also not a study geodesist or surveyor or so on. So I'm a journalist and I work for many different topics. But when I visit InterGeo, or when I dive into the world of the geospatial industry, it's always so fascinating to me, because all the topics are related in my everyday life, the applications I use on my phone, the urban twins, the city where I live. So it's very interesting when I see how they work with it and how it's developing, or anything in the world, as you all also mentioned, that we can detect things from space with satellites, or even from drones, or from even just the normal surveying solutions, and and see how it works in our everyday life. So even if InterGeo is just a B2B event where all the experts meet, I see, and I also read this when I see the GIM International magazines and the articles there, that the topics are really for everybody, and it's interesting for anybody to read it. So I think InterGeo is very, very fascinating. So what do you think about the world of the InterGeo community, and how do you benefit from it, and how do you experience it? So what do you think?
Well, it's one big meeting place for the geospatial community, and it's a very inspiring place to go. And because you can exchange ideas in a very pleasant way, because you can do it by going to a stand and meet some of the experts of a company. But there's also time to have a beer and to have a more relaxed conversation. And sometimes those very relaxed conversations are the best ones, because then you make a joke about a certain topic, or and then 2 minutes later you are thinking, well, why don't we work together and let's try something new? So it gives a lot of new energy and ideas by meeting those people and those fellow experts from all parts of the world at InterGeo. And I think After 3 days in the geo, you always travel home with a rucksack full of inspiration, and that's more probably the most valuable thing for me when it comes to Intergeo. So yeah, I'm glad that it's happening once a year, and I'm glad that it's happening in a place that usually is very good, easily to reach. So Stuttgart is, at least from a European perspective, a very good choice, I would say. I even was thinking of coming by train, but there's still some discussion within our team, either by car or by plane, because Stuttgart is quite reachable from the Netherlands, as you know. So, but still, yeah, it's one big meeting place of like-minded geospatial experts, and yeah, it's so much fun to go there. But I should actually say to everyone, if you didn't visit Intergeo before, try it one time, and you'll be back for the second time and third time as well, for sure.
Yeah, well, that's great. And I agree. I totally agree. So when we come to the end of the talks, we always talk about the future, or how do you see the future, or the trends of the industry. And yeah, what do you see? What changes or developments do you expect? So we just mentioned a bit artificial intelligence, drones, and so on. But yeah, again, in a few words, in your opinion, what do you think? What changes or developments do you expect for the industry? What is most interesting or fascinating to you?
Yeah, well, I was very positive about Intergeo and about the possibility to meet experts from the industry. But the experts in the industry and skilled people in the industry, that's something that worries me, because as we also learn from the many conversations we have with people in the industry, we know that there's a lack of skilled new land surveyors, new geospatial professionals. As already mentioned earlier in this discussion, the world needs geospatial data for a lot of purposes. AI can help us, but we still need skilled people. We still need more graduated people with the right study. So I think that's something we as an industry need to come up with a strategy to fix this, to create awareness, how cool our industry is, how it impacts everyday life. And we should do that as the whole community. So as Intergeo, as GEM International, but also there's also a call to action for the industry, for the bigger companies with maybe a bit more power and more money, but also for the smaller companies. And I can give you a very easy example to create some awareness. There are, I know, companies, small survey companies, who are going at 1 or 2 or maybe 3 times per year. They go to school and to teach the children, to introduce the children to land surveying, to geospatial technology. The kids find it very exciting and they're very enthusiastic about it. And it's it doesn't take too much effort, it doesn't cost too much money, but it's a great way to inspire people and to inspire the new generation of geospatial professionals. And we need them. So we can discuss hours about advanced technology, about AI, about the coolest drones and the most advanced LiDAR solutions. But in the end, when there are not enough skilled people, skilled professionals who can handle the geospatial data, or they know how to use the geospatial data and how to deal with it, we're nowhere. So I think I think it's inspiring to find the right way to inspire people about our great industry. And I think that's something we should do together. And that's, at the moment, my biggest point and biggest reason to keep writing, to keep publishing articles, to invite professionals to write an article for us or participate in an interview. And we want to spread the word, create awareness, but we cannot do that alone. So yeah, that's my call to action.
Yeah, absolutely. For influencing young people, for getting the awareness for the jobs in the geospatial industry. And I think this is very important. I also had an interesting talk last year at InterGeo with Elaine Ball from Get Kids Into Survey. She's also on that mission with her campaigning and her posters and comics and so on. And it's also her 100% mission to get kids, to get survey into school and to kids as well.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a big fan of what Elaine is doing for the sector, and we need more people like that because it's very inspirational.
Absolutely. So what's our conclusion? Come and join InterGeo for meeting positive people who are interested in future technologies, who can really solve problems our world has actually. And
Yes, and if I might add, at InterGeo there is quite a large audience of students, and they are our next generation of geospatial professionals, so we should inspire them and motivate them as well. So that's also a cool aspect of InterGeo, I would say.
Thank you for that. Thank you for joining us, Wim, and see you in a couple of weeks in Stuttgart. By car, by train. Anyway, we'll lead you to InterGeo Stuttgart.
For sure, yeah.
We are really looking forward to meet you.
See you at InterGeo, Denise. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.